Now, dear students, we will start our next topic, that is foreign trade and integration of markets. So, for a long time, foreign trade has been the main channel connecting countries. Okay, foreign trade. Now, foreign trade. What do you mean by foreign trade, bachche? Foreign trade, as the name is suggesting us, when we are doing trade or the business in different foreign countries. Foreign, what do we call foreign in Hindi? Pardesi, isn't it? Now, when we are doing trade in other countries, okay, different countries, so this is known as foreign trade business, when we are supplying our products there, isn't it? And integration of market. Now, what is integration of market? That means joining, interlinking of market. How this is happening, what is this, we'll understand this in this video. Okay, part 1 of globalization and Indian economy is already uploaded in our channel. If you are new in our channel, I'm just updating you. Okay, you can go in our playlist, that is class 10th, so SST playlist. You can go there and you will find the globalization chapter there. Okay, outcomes of democracy also I am preparing videos, and soon you will be provided with that chapter also. Okay, so okay, in history, you would have read about the trade routes connecting India and South Asia to markets both in East and West, and extensive trade that took place along these routes. Also, you would remember that it was trading interest which attracted various trading companies such as East India Company to India. See, bachche, so foreign trade has been the main channel for corresponding countries for a long time, you know very well. Because of this, only the countries are, basically coming together. Then, what is written in history, you would have read about the trade routes connecting India and South Asia to markets both in East and West, and extensive trade. So, you have seen in history, you must have read about. For what you have read about? You must have read about trade routes connecting India and South Asia. Trade routes connecting India and South Asia to markets both in East and West. An extensive trade that took place along these routes. Also, you would remember that it was trading interest which attracted various trading companies such as East India Company to India. Now, initially, East India Company, which afterwards ruled us for many years, and we also have to suffer, we have to fight for our freedom. All these things happen, but initially East India Company came to India as a like traders. They came to India for doing trade. Okay, so now what attracted them? They were attracted by the trading interest, because that time India was also doing trading, and India was a very popular country who was known for exporting its raw materials and the food items such as spices, etc. So that's why East India Company was very influenced by our this trading interest, and that's why they came to India as a traders. But afterwards they started ruling us, and then the story is something else. You already know that. You have read that in your chapter Nationalism in India, in chapter 2 of your class 10th history book. Okay, now next, what is written, see. Okay, so what then is the basic function of foreign trade? This is very good question, that what is the basic function of foreign trade? To put it simply, foreign trade creates an opportunity for producers to reach beyond the domestic markets. Now, foreign trade creates an opportunity for the producers. Opportunity for the producers means the people who are producing goods to reach beyond domestic market. Domestic market, what are the domestic markets? The market within their own country, or the local markets. Okay, so markets of their own country, producers can sell produce not only in the market located within the country, but can also compete with the market located in other countries of the world. They can also compete with markets which are located in other countries of the world. Okay, how they can compete? When they will be given the opportunity, when they will be given the opportunity to showcase their product in global world. Globally, when they will be given opportunity to showcase their product, and when they will showcase their product but globally, so obviously this is very obvious thing, that the people who are living in different country would also get influenced by their product if the product is very good, and they will also certainly have a desire to have that product. So when they will have generate that desire, so obviously the companies will spread across different region, and they will also expand their market in those other countries. So next what is given, see. Yeah. So producers can sell their products not only in the market located within the country, but can also compete with market located in other countries of the world. Similarly, for the buyers, import of goods produced in other countries, one way of expanding the choice of goods beyond what is domestically produced. Similarly, for buyers, import of goods produced in another country is one way of expanding the choice of goods beyond what is domestically produced. See, if I am giving you the example of India. See, India, in India, we have buyers, isn't it? We all are the buyers, isn't it? Now, when the product is imported from outside, suppose there are some, special type of dry fruits which are imported from USA, United States. So now we got the variety of choices that okay, this product is from USA, this is from United States, this is produced in domestically in our own country. Now people will certainly try to buy the product which has its origin from USA. Why? The reason behind is that they have been given the choice. Okay, they are preferring that product because they just want to try it out, isn't it? And if they will not, they will not like a taste, so what they will do next time, they will eat their own domestically produced item, isn't it? So when we import the items, when we import the goods, so what it basically does is it provides the choice to the buyers, isn't it? And through this also the trade expands, because if the people would like the product which is produced in USA, so certainly they will buy it again and again. And when they will buy it again and again, so what they are doing, they are just expanding the market of that particular company which is producing dry fruits in USA, isn't it? So like this, that company will expand its market in India also. So I hope the student you understood this. Now let's come to this part, that is Chinese toys in India. Okay, so what is written? Let us see the effect of foreign trade through the example of Chinese toys in Indian market. So Chinese toys in India. Chinese manufacturers, okay, learn of an opportunity to export toys in at India, where toys are sold at high price. They start exporting plastic toys to India. Buyers in India now have option for choosing between Indian and the Chinese toys. Because of cheaper prices and new designs, Chinese toys became popular in the Indian market. Within a year, 70 to 80% of the toy shops have replaced Indian toys with Chinese toys. Reason behind, they have cheap prices and they have new designs that which influence children, isn't it? Now are now cheaper in Indian market than earlier. They are cheaper in Indian market than earlier. Now, what is happening here? As the result of trade, Chinese toys come into Indian market. As a result of trade, Chinese toys come into Indian market. Right now, what this led? This lead to Indian people knowing about Chinese toys, and it also gave Indian people a wide variety of choices, that whether you want to buy Chinese toys or you want to buy Indian toys. Now, initially, Indian people bought Chinese toys just to try it out whether these toys are good or bad. And then they found out that okay, these toys have better quality than Indian toys. So they started buying it again and again. And when they started buying it again and again, so this Chinese toys also created a place in the Indian market. And like this, the Chinese toys companies, the companies which are producing Chinese toys, were able to expand their market in India as well, isn't it? So I hope you understood this. Next, what is given? See. Okay. In the competition between Indian and Chinese toys prove better. Indian buyers Indian buyers have a greater choice of toys, and at a lower prices. For the Chinese toy makers, this provides an opportunity to expand business. Okay. The opposite is true for Indian toy makers. They face losses as their toys are selling much less. Now, of course, when Chinese toys are, people are preferring Chinese toys when they are buying Chinese toys because of their two qualities, that is cheap, first of all cheaper rates, and the second quality, that is that these are of new design. So because of which students, because of which children are preferring Chinese toys, and when they're buying Chinese toys, so obviously Indian toys are not, they are not being sold, because of which Indian toy makers are facing a huge loss. This is a very obvious thing, that when we are preferring only one type of toy, so obviously everyone in the country, everyone across the country would be buying that product only. And when everyone is buying that product, so this is very obvious that Chinese toys company will gain maximum profit, and the Indian toy companies or the toy makers will receive loss. Okay, so in general, with the opening of trade, good travels from one market to another. Okay. Choice of goods in the market rises. Prices of similar goods in two markets tend to become equal, and the producers in the two up countries now closely compete against each other, even though they are separated by the thousands of miles. So this is the advantage of trade. So like this, the company, like this, the Chinese toy makers, they are living in China. They are preparing their China. They are preparing the toys. They are manufacturing the toys in China. But when they are exporting the toys, when they are basically exporting the toys in India, so in India the people are very, happy with the toy quality that they are getting from China. So they are buying Chinese toys, and when they are buying Chinese toys, what they are doing? They are creating profits for Chinese toy makers. So like this, the Chinese people who are living far across the mile, thousands of miles, they are living very far away. But then also they are making huge profit, and they are able to expand their business just because of this foreign trade. Okay, so now what is written? Foreign trade does results in connecting the markets or integration of markets in different countries. Integration means when it is linking two markets. Okay, and integration, you can say that the people, when two companies are coming together which are preparing the same product, they're competing with each other, isn't it? So now next question, next is, let's work these out. So now there are some questions, we'll try to answer them out. Okay, first question is, what was the main channel connecting countries in the past? So what was the main channel that was connecting countries in the past? That was of course foreign trade. Okay, so how is it different from now? So now now what is happening? Now the technology is also advancing. Day by day we are increasing technology. You are seeing that today AI is coming. Everything AI is doing. So because of technology, now this foreign trade this has become very easy. So because of which different foreign trade has become very easy. So products are easily transported. The quality in the transportation systems, they are also improved very much. So because of it, doing trade in different across several countries becomes very easy for these multinational cooperations. Okay, and main channels connected in past, very well, it was foreign trade. So that time also the same trade was, the same trade was that time also. But that time transportation system, technology was not so advanced, because of which doing trade becomes slightly it was slightly difficult, because they have to transport, they have to export items through different ships and all. So it was little time taking. But now very well, there are aeroplanes, there are many types of transportation system. Technology is so advanced, we can easily transport one thing to the other country in just a few hours. So that's why now the foreign trade, doing foreign trade becomes very easy. Okay, next, to distinguish between foreign trade and foreign investment. Very good question. So see, foreign trade. What is foreign trade? When we are doing trade, when we are exporting our items in different country, when we are going in different country for expanding our market, isn't it? And what is foreign investment? When you are investing in another country, in buying the land, in creating the building, in that creating the buildings, or there are many other things, for setting up the factories, whatever the cost you are applying, whatever the money you are giving in the another country for these things, it is called foreign investment. Why it is investment? Because you are doing that so that it can reap profit in future. So this is the difference between foreign trade and foreign investment. Then next, in recent years, China has been importing steel from India. China has been importing steel from India. Okay, explain how the import of steel by China will affect steel companies in India. China. So obviously, बच्चे, if China is importing steel from India, so now the Chinese people who are living Chinese, different factories also need steel for manufacturing different things, na. So these different factories or these different companies, these people of China will now have variety of choices. What choices they will have? First, they will have the steel which is imported from India, and second, the steel which is prepared in their own country, which is manufactured in their own country. So now these people will have choice. Now initially they will buy India just for trying, but when they will buy India steel, and they'll find that quality is very good, it is very strong, so then they will tend to buy it again and again. So obviously, Indian market will rise so much, but in this another in the same way, the Chinese manufacturers of steel, they will receive loss. Why? The reason behind that, the people are preferring Indian steel because there are variety of choices, there is competition. So some people are buying steel from India only again and again because of its good quality, and the Chinese company which are there, which are manufacturing steel in their own country, they will be facing loss. So that's the case. Next is steel companies in India. Obviously, they will reap high profits because their steel production is expanded. They are producing they are exporting their steel in China also, and since they are exporting their steel in China, Chinese people are buying that steel. So because of that, they will reap high profits. Okay, so next is industries buying steel for production or other industrial goods in India. So industries which will be buying steel for production or other industrial goods in India. So obviously they will face little higher prices. Why? Because it is important from India. So what they will do, the prices will be little high because tax is also applied whenever we import some goods. So these countries like China, they impose some amount of tax in our country that our manufacturers pay. And so what happens, obviously, in the market, when that steel will be sold in Chinese market, it will be sold in high amount. So when it will be sold in high amount, obviously industries will face some problem in buying that because the cost would be high. So industries would not be able to maintain their low cost of production, so they can also face little loss. But if their production is very high, and if the people are buying their product in very immense value, so obviously they can reap profits also. Next is, how will the import of steel from India into Chinese market lead to integration of market for steel in two countries? Integration of market, how? Because now Indian steel manufacturers are also able to expand their market in China. They're able to expand their market, and Indian steel manufacturers are also able to trade. They are in India only, they are producing steel in India only, but since they're exporting their steel in China, they're able to make more profit. The trade is leading to integration of market. Chinese people are now knowing about Indian steel also. They are they have variety of choices. So basically, like this, the import of steel from China into India into Chinese market lead to integration of markets for steel in two countries. Okay, I hope you understood this. Now, at the end, I will not say at the end, but your NCERT book, as per the habit of NCERT book, NCERT book don't introduce you to the terms in quickly in the beginning of the chapter. They first make stories, they tell some small concepts, and at the last, when it is nearly the end of the chapter or the chapter is going to end, that time your NCERT book introduces you to the definition of some of the things. That is what is globalization is यहाँ पे topic. So now NCERT's book is giving you the definition of globalization, which I gave you earlier only when we have done our part 1. So children who are watching part 2 directly are requested to watch part 1 first and then come to part 2. Okay, बच्चे? So what is globalization? In the past 2 or 3 decades, what do you mean by decades? Again, I'm telling you the meaning. Decades means every 10 years. So 2 or 3 decades mean 30 years. Okay, past 30 years, more and more MNCs have been looking for locations around the world which would be cheap for their production. Again, the same case. What these MNCs are looking for? Low cost of production. And for these things, they will definitely see those areas which would benefit them the most. Okay. So next, what is written? Foreign investment by MNCs in these countries have been rising. Foreign investment is increasing because they know that if we will invest in this country, it would definitely give us high profit. So that's why they are doing foreign investment more and more in these types of countries. Then what is written? See. At the same time, foreign trade between countries has been rising rapidly. Okay, a large part of foreign trade is also controlled by MNC. For instance, the car manufacturing plant of Ford Motors in India not only produces cars for the Indian market, it also exports cars to other developing countries and export car components for its many factories around the world. Likewise, activities of most of the MNCs involve substantial trade in goods and also services. So Ford Motors, I already gave you the example that Ford Motor has developed its plant near Chennai. Because it find that this location is good, and India, why Ford Motors choose India? Because of cheap labor, and obviously the cost of land was also very less, so it chose India. And now in India it has developed this factory plant where it is manufacturing cars, etc. Now it is not producing those cars just for India, but it is also transporting those items, those cars, to different developing countries, different other countries as well, because you have already read that it is linked to other 26 countries, isn't it? So then it is also exporting engines and components from India, isn't it? And it is basically it is providing those components to other countries as well. So dear student, what we have read here, see, likewise activities of most MNCs involve substantial trade in goods and also services. Now see, the result of greater foreign investment and greater foreign trade has been greater integration of production and market across the countries. Okay. Globalization is the process of rapid integration and interconnection between countries. Or this definition only you have to learn and you have to write as it is in the examination. No marks would be cut. But if you write the definition in your words also, then also it's not wrong, bache. But the thing is that you people don't use correct language. English you people don't use correctly. So because of which marks are deducted. So that's why bacha always prefer that this definition is very short, very concise, very precise. You should learn this definition. Globalization is the process of rapid integration and interconnection between countries. Very simple. Now MNCs are playing major role in globalization process. More and more goods and services, investment and technology are moving between the countries. Most regions of the world are closer in contact with each other than a few decades back. Then a few decades back means कुछ साल पहले. Okay. So more and more goods and services, investment and technology are moving between the countries. ठीक है. Now, besides the movement of goods, services, investments, and technology, there is one more way in which countries can be connected. Now, what is that way? So, you have to write the answer. Now, how question can be made from these statements? That what are the ways in which countries can be connected? Very simple questions. But you should know how to make the answer because you have read the book. And even if you don't know answer, you can just try to think what you are seeing in your society, what you are listening in the news, so you would be able to write the answer. Okay, now what is written? Okay, this is through the movement of people between the countries. Yes, people usually move from one country to another in the search of better income, better jobs, or better education. In the past few decades, however, there has not been much increase in the movement of people between the countries due to various restrictions. Okay, so you know very well that people move from one country to another in the search of better income, the migration that we call. Okay, better income, better jobs, better education. In the past few decades, however, there has not been much increase in the movement of people between the countries due to various restrictions. Now, what are these restrictions? We will see. Now, factors that have enabled globalization. Before doing this, let's work these out. Okay. So, what is the role of MNC in globalization process? So, you know very well that MNC plays a very important role, because these MNC, these multinational companies, they are linked, multinational cooperation companies, they are linked to different other countries in the world, and they expand their business in different countries as well. So, while expanding the business, they also interlink, they also connect the countries. Okay, so that's why it helped in the globalization process, because globalization, the term suggests us that when there is where globalization refers to the interlinking, the integration between the countries, isn't it? So what are the various ways in which countries can be connected? So you know very well, first is through MNCs. Second, when people move from one country to another, and you will explain these points, you will not just write these points in one line, you have to explain these points as well. Okay, writing them in one line will not give you marks. While you will explain them one line point you have written, then you are explaining them step by step, these criteria will give you the marks. So, dear student, please carefully you have to attempt these things. Then, what are the various ways in which countries can be linked? So, there are various ways in which countries can be linked. What are the various ways? I have already told you. Then, next is choose the correct option. Globalization by connecting countries shall result in lesser competition among producers, greater competition among producers, no change in competition among producers. So, obviously, when you will globalize, when you will, expand your business in several other parts of the world as well, so definitely it will increase the competition between the producers, because now in their own countries there are different manufacturers, there are different producers, so definitely people are getting lot of choice, and there is a competition between these producers, that which producer is producing better product. Okay, now the factors that have enabled globalization. What do you mean by enabled globalization? So that these are the factors that are leading to globalization, basically they are increasing the globalization. The first factor that we have in this category is technology. Now, rapid improvement in technology has been one of the major factor that has stimulated the globalization process. So in biology you must have read one term, that is stimulus. So stimulus is what? Stimulus is any kind of stimulated means it has increased, or you can say it lead to. Okay, so rapid improvement technology has been one of the major factor that has stimulated the globalization process. For instance, the past 50 years have been several improvement in transportation technology. So when technology is increasing, so people are able to transport their goods very nicely and easily. So definitely transportation, when transportation is increasing, dear students, so transportation is leading. Companies are able to transport their goods to several other countries very easily. So that's why the improvement in technology is also resulting in rapid increase in products, rapid increase in trade. So that's why that is also one of the reason that is increasing the globalization. Then next is, this has made much faster delivery of goods across long distances possible at lower cost. Next is containers for a transport of goods. So goods are placed in containers that can be loaded intact into the ships, railways, planes and trucks. Con- Containers, okay, goods are placed in containers that can be loaded intact into ships, railways, planes and trucks. Containers have lead to huge reduction in port handling cost and increased the speed with which exports can reach market. Similarly, the cost of air transport has fallen. This has enabled much greater volumes of goods being transported by airlines. So air transport has fallen, cost of air transport has fallen. So what will happen? The companies will tend to transport their products through airlines only, and product when they are transporting through airlines, so it is very easy for them to transport the product within few hours. So that's why this is also increasing the globalization. So these factors you have to learn. Okay. Even more remarkable have been the development in information and communication technology. What is information and communication technology? ICT. Okay, so in recent time, technology in areas of telecommunication, computers, and internet has been changing rapidly. So this is changing rapidly. Okay. Hmm. So next, what is written? Telecommunication facilities. Okay, sorry, I said facilitate. It is facilities. Okay, facilities, telegraph, telephone, including mobile phone, fax, are used to contact one person, one another around the world, to access information instantly and to communicate from remote areas. This has been facilitated by satellite communication devices. As you would be aware, computers have now entered in almost every field of activity. You might have also ventured about amazing world of internet, where you can obtain and share information on almost anything you want to know. Internet also allows us to send instant electronic mail, that is email. That is not very common nowadays, but it was very common uh, you know um, uh, before past few years. Okay, so electronic mail, that is email, and talk voice mail across the world in negligible cost. So why this is increasing? Because of information technology. And how information technology is able to do this? Because of satellites. They have told you, they have given you the glimpse of it. They have said that these are facilitated by the satellite communication services devices. So you have to mention this line, because when you are mentioning this point, there should be a reason also why the information and communication technology is able to do this. Okay, so next is given to us internet. I have already told you, information communication technology, or IT in short. IT. Okay, information technology, IT, and ICT is correct thing. Okay, so has played a major role in spreading out production of services across countries. Let us know how. So see, using IT in globalization. A news magazine published for London readers is to be designed and printed in Delhi. Okay. The text of the magazine is sent through internet in the Delhi office. Okay, so it is magazine that is published in London. London, published for London readers, to be designed and printed in Delhi. Okay, so the text of magazine is sent through internet in Delhi office. The designers in Delhi office get orders on how to design the magazine from the office in London. Using telecommunication facilities, the designing is done on the computers. After printing, the magazines are sent by air to London. Even the payment of money for designing and printing from the bank in London to a bank in Delhi is done instantly through internet. So you can see that how advanced technology has helped for advanced technology helped us to increase the production, and thereby it is leading to globalization. Okay, so let's work this out. Now, what are the question? In the above example, underline the words describing the use of technology in the production. So, see, bank, when the money is transferred from bank in London to the bank in Delhi. Here also, you know very well that what is again technology is used. Then, secondly, technology is used when the printing designs are sent to Delhi. Okay. So magazine is published for London readers is to be designed and printed in Delhi. So again, you know very well that the text of the magazine is sent through internet. So here also technology is applied, and the designers in office get orders how to design this. Also they get from communication. They are able to do this because telecommunication facilities. So again there is technology. Okay, how is information technology connected with globalization? I already told you that if information technology will increase, if people will be able to communicate better in a better way through telecommunication, through telephones, through telegraphs, through various other sources, television, mobile phones, emails, voice notes, etc. So they will be able to transfer information, and they will be able to transfer information, they will be able to do more business across different countries, and if they will be able to increase their production in different countries, this is obvious that they will link with each other, they will connect with each other, and when they will connect with each other, they will lead to globalization. You can make flowchart also in examination, in points also you can write, and you can make flowcharts also. Okay. So next is liberalization of foreign trade and foreign investment policy. Now liberalization. So in globalization we learn about three things. That is LPG. Now what is LPG full form? It is not liquefied petroleum gas. It is liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Now what is liberalization? We will understand this. Liberalization of foreign trade and foreign investment policy. Foreign trade and foreign investment policy. What is foreign trade? Foreign trade, you know very well that when we are doing trade across different countries. Foreign investment means when we are investing in different countries for our production. For example, if I am a person who is living in China, so if I am investing in India, if I am buying the land in India, I am setting up the building there, I am setting up the factory there, so I am investing in India. So this is foreign investment. Why I am investing? Because I know this fact that in future this factory, this product, this plant is going to give me a very high profit. Okay. So this is okay. So this you know very well. So liberalization of foreign trade and foreign investment policy. Liberalization means freedom. Freedom of foreign trade and foreign investment policy. See, there are WTO. There is an organization named WTO, which is World Trade Organization, which we will learn about in this only. So this has it had basically increased, or it has made so many restrictions for trade. Okay. So when you are giving those restrictions for developing countries, it become very difficult for developing countries to become to increase globalization or to expand their business. So we'll learn about that in after few pages. But after few pages we'll learn about it. But before this, let's learn about liberalization. So liberalization means liberalization. For one, there was an ideology, liberalism, that you have read in history chapter number first, that is nationalism in Europe. So in that liberalism, what was liberalism? Liberalism was freedom, isn't it? It was liberal means free, and liberalism means ideology that supports freedom. So liberalization also is linked to that only. Liberalization means free. The process, or you can say when we have when we can freely, we have freedom to do foreign trades and foreign investment. So liberalization of foreign trade and foreign investment policy. Let us return to the example of imports of Chinese toys in India. Suppose the Indian government puts a tax on import of toys. What would happen? If Indian government would put a tax on the import of toys. Import of toys means import of toys. See, if Indian government is putting tax in import of toys, that means we are importing the toys from China, but we are putting tax on Chinese manufacturers, so they will pay the tax. But now what will happen? These Chinese toys would be sold at higher prices, why? Because Chinese manufacturers want to do their profit. If they are paying the tax, they want to if they are paying tax, so now their cost of production increased. And if their cost of production increased, so now to generate profit, they have to sell that product into higher prices. So the more tax we will put in Chinese toys, the more in the higher amount that product would be sold in India. Okay. So it would make difficult for Indian people to buy that product. So Indian people will not buy that product. Indian people would be buying the product that is made in India only. So like this, Chinese manufacturers face loss. So that is the case. Okay. So this is also what Trump, that is president of USA, is doing in India right now. He is putting so much of tariff in India, because that is it is Trump is basically putting tax on India on importing things. So now Indian manufacturers have to pay tax for several things, and now if they are paying tax, if they are paying 50% of tax, so obviously they will sell that product also in very very high amount. And when they will sell that product in very high amount, so people of America would definitely not buy that product. They will buy the product which is made in their own country. So because of this, India would Indian manufacturers, Indian producers would face huge loss. So that's why, dear students, Modi ji has an initiative that he is promoting people to buy the goods from their own countries. Okay, that's why they are not importing their items to USA. So you know this very well. So the tax barrier. So now see. Hmm. So what would happen? Those who wish to import these toys would have to pay tax on this. Because of tax, buyers will have to buy the higher prices on imported goods. Chinese toys will no longer be as cheap in the Indian markets, and import from the China will automatically reduce. Indian toy makers will prosper. Now see, tax on the import tax on the import is an example of trade barrier. Now it is an example of trade barrier because it is, it is not allowing trade, it is not giving us freedom of trade. Why? Because when we are putting tax, so now these Chinese manufacturers are not able to trade freely, very nicely. Why? The reason behind is that they have to pay the tax, and if they will pay the tax, they will sell their product in very high value in India, and people will not buy it. They will they will receive loss. So that's why they are not doing the trade. So this is a kind of trade barrier. So it is called barrier because some restrictions has been set up. Governments can use trade barriers to increase or decrease, that is regulate foreign trade, and to decide what kind of goods and how much each should come into their country. So accordingly that government increase or decrease the what we say this tax. So the Indian government after independence had put barriers to foreign trade and foreign investment. Okay, why they have put this put they had put barriers to foreign trade and foreign investment? The reason was this was considered necessary to protect the producers within their own country from the foreign competition, because that time, dear student, when we got freedom in 1947, so after few years there was plan was set up to make first our economy. First we have to generate our markets, because British people, they destroyed us completely. They took everything from our country. So now we have to generate it again. We have to make it again. So for few time, foreign trade and foreign investment was foreign trade and foreign investment. There was government put barrier on these things. Reason behind, they first want to make their own people to stand up again and to again build the products. And when they will build the product, when they will build the product in very high amount, when they will build in very immense amount, that they after that they will again allow them for foreign trade and foreign investment, because that time they would be able to compete with the foreign producers. So the reason was that if the people of India are able to compete with foreign people or not. So because that time they were not in such condition that they would be able to do compete with foreign producers, because we got independence that time only, and that moment we were completely destroyed because British people took literally everything from our own country. So we have to develop first things, and then we would be able to do foreign trade. So that was the reason that they put barrier. So it was considered necessary to protect the producers within the country from the foreign competition. Industries was just coming up in 1950s and 1960s, and the competition from the imports that at that stage would not have allowed these industries to come up. Thus India allows imports of only such items, essential items. But, India has not closed us completely, this foreign trade and foreign investment, because few items were again India was importing. Why? Because that time we were not having anything, so we need something to create another thing, isn't it? So machinery, fertilizers, petroleum, etc., these we were importing that time also. So Note that all the developed countries during the early stages of development have given protection to domestic producers through a variety of means. Now, starting around 1991, some far reaching changes in the policies were made in India. The government decided that the time had come for Indian producers to compete with producers around the globe, because that till that time we have made many products in our own country. So when our economy was set up, so that time we decided that yes, we should not expand, we should not connect with another other foreign countries as well. So it felt that competition would improve the performance of producers within the country, since they would have to improve their quality. This decision was supported by powerful international organization. Hmm. Because see what will happen. I am explaining you this paragraph. See, this was done to improve the performance. How performance will be improved? Because when the people will receive the product from outside of the from different countries, they would get to know that what is good in this product, and they would be able to make that same same change in their product also, so that their product is also as much as nice as that particular product from different country. So this was done to improve the performance. So thus barriers on foreign trade and foreign investment were removed to large extent. This meant that goods could be imported and exported easily, and also foreign companies could set up factories and offices here. So removing barriers or restrictions set up by government is what is known as liberalization. Means giving freedom of trade, foreign trade and foreign investment. Okay. With liberalization of trade, businesses are allowed to make decisions freely about what they wish to import or export. The government imposes much less restrictions than before and is therefore said to be more liberal. Okay. Now see, next is let's work this out. What do you understand by liberalization of foreign trade? So you know very well that liberalization of foreign trade means we have freedom of doing foreign trade across different countries. We are able to expand our business. We are able to export our products in different part of country. Okay. Now next is tax on import is one type of trade barrier. The government could also place a limit on the number of goods that can be imported. This is known as quotas. Quotas. Can you explain, using the examples of Chinese toys, how quotas can be used? Quotas can be used as trade barriers. Do you think this should be used? Discuss. So, dear student, quotas can be used, but the government do these tax one because your government feel that this is more beneficial, because definitely if they will do this tax one, so the people will not export their goods outside their country. Like Chinese toy, if I give you the example, so Chinese people would not export their items to different country because they have to now give tax. So that's why what will happen, the people of India will buy the goods from their own country, so this will increase the this will increase the production of the domestic producers who are producing the goods in their own countries. Okay. So quotas could also help, but if we are reducing the number also, so what will happen, the people will demand more. Okay. When they will receive few goods, so obviously they will people, if they know that quality is better, they will demand more such type of goods. Again, the number of the again the this Indian goods would not be the people would not buy Indian goods. So basically this if we are giving quota also, so it will also not benefit the Indian producers. So that's why I think that tax one is better, but quotas can be used. But quota is also good, because if we have certain amount of certain number of toys if the Chinese people are sending in India, so this will definitely, if those certain amount will end, so people will have to buy that Indian goods also. Okay. So this is also one thing that we can do. So next is World Trade Organization. Okay, now we are going to talk about World Trade Organization. What is World Trade Organization? Let's read. We have seen that liberalization of foreign trade and investment in India was supported by some very powerful international organizations. These organizations that say all barriers to foreign trade and investment are harmful. There should be no barriers. Trade between countries should be free. All countries in the world should liberalize their policies. World Trade Organization or WTO is one such organization whose aim is to liberate international trade. The question comes from World Trade Organization. That okay, tell five points about World Trade. What is World Trade Organization? Explain its function. What function it performs? What are the things according to World Trade Organization? All these factors you have to mention. Okay, so one such organization whose aim is to liberalize international trade, stated at the initiative of developed countries. What were the developed countries at that time? USA, Britain, Europe. There are many developed countries that time. So WTO established rules regarding international trades and sees that these rules are obeyed. These are created. WTO organization was created by developed countries. About 160 countries of world are currently the members of WTO. So through WTO, it was supposed to allow free trade for all. Okay, supposed to allow free trade for all. In practice, it is seen that developed countries have unfairly retained trade barriers. So again, developed countries have created that WTO organization and they have only retained the unfairly retained trade barriers. On the other hand, WTO rules have forced developing countries to remove trade barriers. Now, developing countries have to put trade barriers. Why? Because they have to increase the production in their own country. So they have to, sometimes they have to, put trade barriers. But WTO says that you have to not put trade barriers. But they themselves, the people, the developed countries, when they find that their production is declining in their own country, they put trade barriers. But they don't allow other developing countries to put so. So this is wrong because the developing countries need to develop, and if they will develop only if production in their own country would increase. But these developed countries, these WTO don't allow them. So it is biased basically. So an example of this in current debate is the current debate on trade in agricultural products. So this is the debate in on trade practices in agricultural product as is given. And then the last topic is impact of globalization. So very long chapter. This is okay. It is taking so much of time, but we'll complete it. You have seen in chapter 2 that the agriculture sector provides the bulk of employment and a significant portion of GDP in India. You know very well that agriculture sector is one of the most GDP, which is basically contributing most in GDP, that is agriculture sector only, which comes under primary sector. Okay, so compare this to a developed country such as the USA, with the share with USA with the share of agriculture in the GDP at 1%, and in its share in total employment a tiny 0.5%. And yet this is very small percentage of people who are engaged in agriculture in US receive massive sum of money from the US government for the production and for exports to other countries. So due to this massive money that they receive, US farmers can sell the farm products at abnormally low prices. Okay, the surplus farm products are sold in other country markets at lower prices, adversely affecting farmers in these countries. So this is very common example. Now what Trump is doing in India, you know this very well. He also wants this only. So what US government is doing? US governments provide money to their farmers, and because of this the farmers they export their good to the other countries at very small price. So what Trump is doing, dear student, he is giving money to his farmers, his country farmers, and because of which the country farmers are now getting money. So now they will export the food item at lower prices to other countries. Now Trump wants other countries to buy those products so that US government could take out margin from that, isn't it? So, but other countries Trump was forcing India to take the millets, etc., to buy American millets. But since millet production in our country is very high, because our country is agricultural based country, almost every agriculture is one of the most profession that most of the people in India are engaged in. So we are already producing millets in very high amounts, so we don't need millets from other countries. So because if we'll buy the millets from other countries, so people of India, they will buy them. Obviously, they are influenced by the millets of other countries. They will tend to buy the millets from America, and the production in their own country will decline. So government does not want this. That's why government is not taking millets and all other products from America. Okay, so now see. Hmm. Developing countries are therefore asking developed country governments, we have reduced trade barriers as per WTO rules, but you have ignored the rules of WTO and have continued to pay your farmers vast sum of money. You have asked our government to stop supporting our farmers. But why are you doing yourself? So see, they are very nicely they are asking this, that you are supporting your country farmers, but you want that our country farmers to get in loss and they commit suicides, because you know very well, dear student, most of the farmers in India, they commit suicides. Why they commit suicides? Because they are not able to sell their produce, and when they are not able to sell their produce, they are not able to generate money, and when they are not able to generate money, they are not able to pay loan, they are in debt trap, because of which they sometimes suicide also. So government have to think about their own country farmers as well. Okay, so is this free and fair trade? So obviously this is not. WTO is little biased. Why? Because it was created by developed countries only, as we have seen. So now see, next is WTO was started at an initiative of dash countries, developed countries. The aim of WTO is to allow freedom of trade, foreign trade and foreign investment. WTO establishes rules regarding trade for all countries and sees that dash in practice. Sees that okay, this we have to see. Hmm. So dear student, you can fill these box from this only. Okay. So WTO establishes rules regarding international trade and sees that these rules are obeyed. उसके बाद next what is given to us? In practice, trade between countries is not dash. So trade between countries. You can see in practice it is trade between countries. So developed countries have unfairly retained trade barriers. And what WTO wants? WTO wants that trade between countries should continue. Okay. And there should be no barrier. Hmm. So developing countries like India have dash, whereas developed countries. So developing countries in India, you can see here, bache, what is written, that developing countries, because India is also a developing country. It is not developed countries. So developing countries are India sometimes. They they follow the trade barriers. They follow the guidelines of this WTO. Whereas developed country in many cases have continued to provide protection to their producers. What do you think can be done so that trade between countries is more fair? So more fair, what we can do? This is a general competency based question. Okay. See, we should follow the guidelines of WTO, because we cannot, stay away from that. Secondly, we should try to explain the developed countries that what is the condition in our own country and we cannot bear more trade. So that time we have to put trade barriers in our country. Okay. So like this, you have to make the answer points. Okay. In the above example, you saw that US government gave massive sum of money to farmers for production. At times, government also gives support to promote production of certain types of goods, such as those which are environmentally friendly. Discuss where these are fair or not. Obviously, बच्चे this is fair. At times, government also gives support to promote production of of certain types of goods, such as which are environmentally friendly. So they should give बच्चे. Environmentally friendly, U.S. governments give massive sum of farmers at times. At times, government also gives support. See, in the example, we show U.S. government give massive sum of money to the farmers for production. At time, governments also give support to production of certain types of goods, such as which are environmentally friendly. So when the government is giving support for these things, this is fair. But when government is objecting other countries to do the same, this is wrong, because there are other countries, developing countries like India, also have right to put barriers on trade when their production in their own country is declining, because they want to increase the production in their own country. Then only they will be able to take participate in the trade. Okay. Impact of globalization in India. So this is very important, because we are living in India, and if we are not knowing about globalization impact in our own country, so what we are reading. Okay. So at the last 20 years, globalization of Indian economy globalization of Indian economy has come to a long way. What has been its effect on the lives of people? Let's look at some of the evidences. Okay. Hmm. So, globalization and greater competition among producers, both local and foreign producer, has been an advantage of has been of advantage to consumers, particularly the well-off sections in urban areas. Okay. So competition among producers, both local and foreign, has been advantage to consumers, particularly in well-off sections in urban areas. There is greater choice before these consumers, who now enjoy improved quality and lower prices for certain several products. As a result, these people today enjoy much higher standards of living, such as much higher standards of living than possible earlier, because now there is competition between different producers. So producers tend to decrease price for the consumers, and consumers are enjoying this benefit. Among producers and workers, the impact of globalization has not been uniform. Now, how it is not being uniform? See the impacts. Firstly, MNCs have increased their investment in India over past 20 years, which means investing in India has been beneficial for them. Maybe because of cheap labor, maybe because the land which India is providing them is very of low cost. Okay, so MNCs have been interested in industries such as cell phone, automobiles, electronics, soft drinks, fast food, or services such as banking in urban areas. These products have a large industries. Okay, these products have a large number of well-off of buyers. In these industries and services, new jobs have been created. Also, local companies supplying raw materials, etc., to these industries have prospered. So these points we mention. Firstly, this firstly is written, but firstly is not firstly. In this whole paragraph, 5 points, 4 points we'll get. See, firstly, MNCs have increased their investment in India over past 20 years. The means that which means investing in India has been beneficial from them. This is one point. MNCs have been interested in industries such as cell phones, automobiles, electronics, soft drinks, fast food, etc. Services such as banking in urban areas. Okay. This is second point. Third point, these products have a large number of well-off buyers. Okay, in these industries and services, new jobs have been created. This is third point. Fourth point, local companies supplying raw material, etc., to these industries have prospered. Okay, so next is steps to attract foreign investment. Steps to attract foreign, how we attract foreign investment, how we attract foreign MNCs to invest in our own country. So what are the ways? See, in recent years, central and state governments in India are taking special steps to attract foreign companies to invest in India. Industrial zone called special economic zones, which is SEZs, are being set up. SEZs are to have world class facilities, electricity, water, roads, transport, storage, recreational and educational facilities. Companies who set up production units in SEZs do not have to pay taxes for an essential period of 5 years. Okay, so SEZs are the special economic zones, and these are created in an initiative to attract foreign investment. And this question comes in board examination. But what are the steps to attract foreign investment? Okay, so next is government have also allowed flexibility in labor laws to attract foreign investment. Flexibility in labor laws means whatever labor you are taking, or you are if you are taking skilled labor, there some flexibility is provided by the government to attract foreign investment. Now next, what is written after this? You have seen in chapter 2 that companies in organized sector have to obey certain rules that aim to protect workers rights. So companies in organized sector is which sector? Organized sector is sector in which um, companies have to provide worker a decent salary. Secondly, company have to provide workers number of holidays also. They have to give them some holidays also. And then they have to give them maternity leave and many other some of the basic essential rights of workers they have to maintain. Okay, so they have to protect the workers right. In recent year, government has allowed company to ignore many of these. So this is in this particular thing is also attracting foreign investment. Instead of hiring workers on regular basis, companies hire workers flexibly or for short periods where there is intense pressure of work. Okay, so government has allowed this also. Then this is done to reduce cost of labor for company. However, still not satisfied, foreign companies are demanding more flexibility in labor laws. Now no flexibility will be given because just the reason is this is enough. See, obviously government has allowed so much of flexibility to these companies, but if still they are saying that we need more, then it's not possible, because you also know that some basic fundamental rights of workers we have to maintain. Next, what is given? See, secondly, several of the top Indian companies have been able to benefit from the increased competition. Okay, what is this? This is impact of globalization in India. Okay, secondly, several top Indian companies have been able to benefit from the increased competition. They have invested in newer technology and production methods and raised their production standard. Some have gained from successful collaboration from foreign companies. So this paragraph is also giving you 4 points. How? See, secondly, several top Indian companies have been able to benefit from increased competition. First, you will write this point. Second, they have invested in newer, you will write investment in newer technology and production methods has raised their production standard. Third, some have gained from successful collaboration from foreign companies. So, moreover, globalization has enabled some large Indian companies to emerge as multinational themselves. Tata Motors, Automobiles, Infosys, that is IT, Ranbaxy, Medicines, Asian Paints. Then we have Sundaram Fasteners, that is Nuts and Bolts, are some of the Indian companies which are spreading their operations worldwide. So, globalization has also created new opportunity for companies providing services, particularly those in providing IT, that is information technology. So, the Indian company producing a magazine for London-based company and call centers are some examples. Okay, so next is besides a host of services such as data entry, accounting, administrative tasks, engineering are now being done cheaply in countries such as India and are exported to developed countries. So, for this paragraph is providing you many points. First of all, globalization has also increased new opportunity. Globalization has created new opportunity for companies providing services, particularly those in IT. Okay, IT sector. So, for first point. Second point, the Indian company producing magazine for London-based company and call center, London-based company and call centers are some examples. Second point. Third point, a host service such as data entry, accounting, administrative tasks, engineering are now being done cheaply in countries such as India and are exported to developed countries. This is fourth point. This is third point. Okay. So 3 point you got from this also. So impact बहुत ज़्यादा है. Okay, what, how has the competition benefited people of India? So people have more choices, so they get goods in cheaper rates and very high quality goods also. Then should more Indian companies emerge as MNCs? Yes, of course, but if companies will emerge in MNCs, so their production will increase. They will be able to, hire more people. More people will get employment. There are many benefits. How would it benefit the people in the country? Employment generation would be there. Company would hire many people for the work, and this will increase employment in their own country. Okay, so there are other also many benefits. Okay, then company would be able to do globalization, or it would be able to take part in globalization more nicely. Then next is, why do government try to attract foreign investment? Because if foreign investment would be there, so it would increase the globalization. There would be more connection between the countries, and if connection would be, countries would increase, the people production would countries production would increase, and would basically increase, and people would also get choice, different choice. So that's why. Next is, in chapter 1 we saw that what may be development for one may be destructive for others. The setting of SEZs, that is specialized economic zones, have been opposed by some people in India. Of course, बच्चे, because the most of the electricity and most cleaner water and other facilities are provided to these companies only, these MNCs only, because of which the common people in India face problems, because they are not able to get proper electricity and many other services. Okay, find out who are these people and why are they opposing. Why are they opposing? I have already told you. These people are basically the common people in India, who are from the very, you can say, remote areas, like many, you can say, towns and villages, because these people do not receive electricity in proper amount, because most of the electricity and most of the good areas are given to these MNCs company only. Okay, so next is small producers competition or perish. So compete or perish. So for a large number of small producers and workers, globalization has posed major challenges. Now, what are the challenges posed by globalization? Please see this. Rising competition. Ravi did not expect that he would have to face crisis in such a short period of his life as an industrialist. Ravi took a loan from a bank to start his own company, reducing capacitors in 1992 in Hosur, an industrial town in Tamil Nadu. Capacitors are used in many electronic home appliances, including tube lights, television, etc. Within 3 years, he was able to expand production and had 20 workers working under him. His struggle to run his company started when government removed restrictions on import of capacitors as import of capacitors as per as agreement of WTO in 2001. So his main clients, television company, used to buy different components including capacitors for in bulk for manufacturing TV and television sets. However, competition for MNC brand forced Indian television companies to move into assembling activities assembly activities for MNCs. Even when some of them brought capacitors, they would prefer to import as price of the imported item. Prefer to import as the price of the imported item was half the price of the charge by people like Ravi. So Ravi now produced less than half capacitors that he produced in year 2000, and has only 7 workers working with him. Many of the Ravi's friends in same business in Hyderabad and Chennai have closed their units. So you can see that rising competition is becoming a cause of loss for the people like Ravi. Okay, because company his struggle to run his company started when the government removed restrictions on imports of capacitors. If restrictions would be put in imports of capacitors, so capacitors would not be imported from other countries. Now other countries are able to export capacitors very nicely. Reason behind, tax is not levied because of WTO guidelines. Now definitely people would buy the capacitors from the other country, because those capacitors are very cheap in amount. So that's why. So the people like Ravi are facing loss in this case. So barriers, capacitors, batteries, capacitors, plastics, toys, tires, dairy products, and the vegetable oils are some examples of industries where the small manufacturers had have been hit hard due to competition. Several of the units have shut down, rendering many workers jobless. The small and medium industries in India employ the most of the workers, 11 crores in the country, next only to agriculture. Okay, so I hope you understood this. What is the challenge? Next is, let's work these out. So, what are the ways in which Ravi's small production unit was affected by rising competition? You know very well that because government removed all the restrictions on import of items. So, the government was able to import very nicely, and the people of different countries, the producers of different countries, were able to export their items very easily without giving any tax. So, because of which the product was very cheap, the capacitors were very cheap. So obviously the industries in India would buy capacitors. Television industries or these industries would buy capacitor from that uh, foreign capacitor only. The imported one they will buy only. Why? Because that is cheap, and Indian capacitors are very very expensive. So people like Ravi will face loss. Next is should producers like such as Ravi stop production due to their cost of production, because their should producers such as Ravi stop production because their cost of production is higher compared to producers in the country. What do you think? No, they should not stop the production, but they should appeal to government that government should now impose some restrictions on the import of the items from other countries, since the production is their own country is declining and the people of their own country are facing losses, they are facing difficulties. Then next is recent studies point out that small producers in India need three things to compete better in the market: better roads, powers, water, raw materials, marketing, and information networks, better improvements and modernization of technology, timely availability of credit as at reasonable interest rate. Can you explain how these three things would help Indian producers? First of all, see, it is given better roads, power, water, raw materials, marketing, and information network. If this would be better, obviously they would be able to extend their production. They would be able to increase their production. They would be able to transport things very easily. They would be able to connect with different countries easily. Then improvements in modernization of technology. Obviously, if technology would be modernized, so new technology transportation system would be developed, more technology will increase, so people would be able to communicate each other very nicely globally, and the global interaction with between people will increase, and therefore it will lead to globalization. Okay, next, timely availability of credit at reasonable rate. If there would be timely availability of credit at reasonable rates, so people would be able to start their business very nicely and they would be profitable. Their business would turn profitable also. So because the reasonable rates are provided, so people would be able to fill that reasonable rates or to return that credit back also at the timely they would be able to return it back. Next is, what do you think MNCs will be interested in investing in these? Why? See, MNCs would be interested because if technology is increased, if these all things are good, so definitely MNCs will come here and they will set up their industries, they will do foreign investment, etc. Because technology is increasing, there is raw material, there is better road, there is better power, etc. facilities. Okay, do you think government has role in making these facilities available? Yes, of course government has role, because government have to put money in these things, have to invest on these things, so that better roads are there, better power plants are there, so government have to invest in these things. Can you think of any other step that government could take? Discuss. What government should do? Another step that government could do is government could government could increase what? Government could increase production in their own countries, and production in their own countries. Okay, so for doing production in their own country, sometimes government have to impose restrictions on trade also. And secondly, government should educate the youth of their country very well, so that they can form better business and better MNCs in future. Okay, so this is what I feel that are important. And then there is some these also. So this is also one of the case studies. So we'll continue this. Competition and uncertain employment. So globalization and pressure of competition have substantially changed the lives of workers faced with growing competition, most employers these days prefer to work flexibly. This means that workers' jobs are no longer secure. Let us now see how workers in garment export industries in India have to bear this pressure of competition. So, large MNCs in garment industries in Europe and America order their product from Indian exporters. Okay. These large MNCs with worldwide network look for cheapest goods in order to maximize their profit. To get these large orders, Indian garment exporters try to hard to cut their own cost, as uh, as cost of raw material would not be reduced. Uh, okay, as cost of raw materials cannot be reduced, exporters try to cut labor costs. Where earlier factory used to employ workers on a permanent basis, now they employ workers on temporary basis so that they do not have to pay workers for whole years. Workers also have to put in very long working hours, work night shift on the regular basis during peak season. Wages are low, workers are forced to work overtime to make both ends meet. While this competition among the garment exporters has allowed MNCs to make large profits, workers are denied their fair share of benefits brought by the globalization. Yes, this is also one of the challenges. Okay, next is garment worker. 35-year-old Sushila has spent many years as a worker in garment export industry in Delhi. She was employed as a permanent worker entitled to health insurance, um, provident fund, overtime at double rate. At when Sushila's factory closed at the in late 1990s. After searching for a job for 6 months, she finally got a job 30 kilometers away from where she lived. Where she lives, even after working in the factory for several years, she is a temporary worker and earns less than half of what she was earning earlier. Sushila leaves her house every morning 7 days a week at 7:30 a.m. and returns at 10 p.m. A day off from her work means no wages. She has none of the benefits she used to get earlier. Factories closer to her home have fluctuating orders and therefore pay even less. So these conditions, work and hardship of workers described above have become common to many industrial units and several services in India. Most workers today are employed in unorganized sectors. Okay, unorganized sector means sector which have no permanent jobs. The temporary jobs are given, no facilities are given, no maternity services, no services are provided to workers. Workers' basic rights are denied. Okay, so most workers today are employed in unorganized sector. Most increasingly, conditions of work in organized sectors have come to resemble unorganized sectors. More workers in organized sectors. Okay. Moreover, increasingly, condition of worker in organized sectors have come to resemble the unorganized sectors. Workers in organized sectors such as Sushila no longer get protection and benefits what they enjoyed earlier. Okay, because of globalization. So, in what ways competition affected workers, Indian exporters, and foreign MNCs in garment industry? I already told you that in garment industries also, some what happened? They have to export goods to these MNCs. So now the cost of production they cannot cut. So what they have to cut? The workers have to cut their own share. So because of which workers sometimes what they feel they are their share is reduced, they earn very less and they have to work very hectically, means hectic work is there and they have to work whole day and then also they receive very less income. Then next is what can be done for each of the following so that workers get a fair share benefit brought by the globalization. Government, so government they should think of their own people also. They should sometime they should basically you can say that they should put restrictions on trade barriers sometimes in order to produce to increase their own production in their country. They should think about these workers. They should provide concession to these workers. They should provide some, you can say, subsidy to these workers. Okay, so now employers and at exporting factories. Employers. Okay, employers at exporting factories, so they should think about their worker. They should think that these workers are working, and they should provide them a equal share. Okay, exporting factories also, they should tell to the factories, they should tell MNCs that they could not cut the cost of workers because they are working day and night, and they should respect what workers are doing. MNCs, if I talk about bache, MNCs should understand that we cannot always export or expand business at very low prices. We should do foreign investment, and when we are doing foreign investment, we should provide workers with their basic rights. We should not increase business by cutting someone's wage. We should increase their earnings also. Then workers very well that workers, what they can do by themselves, they should appeal to government, or they should raise their voices for these particular things, what is happening with them and what they're facing. If their wages are being cut, they should tell this. Now, one of the present debates in India is whether companies should have flexible policies for employments. Flexible policies for employment? No, no. Sometimes it's okay. Some type of works are like this, which need to be flexible, because otherwise company would also have loss. But in some other fields, company should provide non-flexible employment, flexible policies for employment. No, I was thinking that they are saying flexible policies for these things means job and job security and all these things. So flexible means, we have seen, I thought flexible in other ways. So the question is that company should have flexible policies for employment. Yes, based on what you have uh, read in the chapter, summarize the point of view of employers and workers. Employers should take workers when they are employing workers, so they should understand that workers also have life. They have to also earn that much so that they can sustain their life, so they should be given that amount. The amount should be justified, it should be enough for them to sustain their family. Now next is the struggle for a fair globalization. So the above evidence indicates that not everyone has benefit from the globalization. People with education, skill, wealth have made best use of their opportunities, new opportunities. On the other hand, there are many people who have not shared the benefits. Since globalization is now a reality, the question is how to make globalization more fair. So, fair globalization would create opportunity for all and also ensures that benefits of globalization are shared better. The government can play a major role in the making this possible. Its policies must protect interests not only of rich and powerful but all the people in the country. You have read about some of the possible steps that government can take. For instance, government can ensure the labor laws are properly implemented and workers get their rights. It can support small producers to improve their performance till the time they are strong enough to compete. If necessary, government can use trade and investment barriers. It can negotiate at WTO for fairer rules. It can also align with other developing countries with smaller interests to fight against dominance of developed country in WTO. So 5 6 points are given to you. So how can we achieve fair globalization? This question can come in example. You can write these 5 6 points. In past few years, massive campaigns and representation by people's organization have influenced more important decisions relating to trade and investment at WTO. This has demonstrated that people who can play an important role in struggle for their fair globalization. Now, summing up, in this chapter, we looked at the present phase of globalization. Globalization is the process of rapid integration of country. This is happening through foreign trade and foreign investment. MNCs are playing a major role in globalization process. More and more MNCs are looking for location around the world that are cheap for their production. As a result, production is being organized in complex way. Technology, particularly IT, has played a big role in organizing production across the countries. In addition, liberalization of trade and investment has facilitated globalization by removing barriers to trade and investment. At international level, WTO has put pressure on developing countries to liberalize trade and investment. While globalization has benefited well-off consumers, it has all and also producers with skill, education, and wealth. Many smaller producers and workers have suffered as a result of rising competition. Fair globalization would create opportunity for all and also ensures that benefit of globalization are shared better. So I hope, dear student, you understood this chapter. So we have completed this chapter finally, and I hope that you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you definitely subscribe our channel for more updates.